Hello, welcome to FOXHOLE Feed, episode 25. Happy Friday to everybody. New format, so we're going to jump right into it, talking about some fancy news. Now, Paragon, game you see in the corner over here, very short teaser. Epic Games is revealing their new game in this little teaser over here. It's coming out on PC next year in 2016, but they don't really say much about it. Knowing Epic's history, titles like Unreal Tournament, this could be an arena shooter. They state that they're going to reveal more characters each week through December. So if they're going to reveal more characters and they have something for a beta sign up, this is sounding like it's going to be an arena multiplayer type shooter. As they're not stating much about it, I think that's probably because that's what it is. So, I mean, I could be wrong. It could be something else, but the fact that they got a beta, I don't think we're just playing the multiplayer portion of a single-player game. Likely an arena shooter. Epic is also working on Fortnite, which you guys see over here. Very questionable about what happened to even Fortnite. I'm not sure when the last time they even showed this project was. I'm pretty positive this game was supposed to release this year. I don't know what's going on with it. I assumed that it was going to get a console announcement, as I think everyone's sort of on that realistic understanding that this game's getting a console announcement. Even their new game, Paragon, I mean, even that's probably going to get a console announcement at some point in time. They had another game that you guys are going to see in about 2 seconds or so, like right here. They got another game, Bullet Train, which is essentially their first-person shooter title that they've been showing, which features like teleportation and bullet time. So they are very much into VR, and they're sort of introducing themselves back into the PC space. I guess Gears of War's, with their absence from the PC market, I think they're probably releasing these titles on PC for a while, and then probably inevitably porting to console. I guess to let the PC gamers know that they're foremost PC titles that are being ported to console, and that they're not being forgotten since, their release with Gears, when they used to own that IP anyway. So he states that, Tim Sweeney states that VR is the most revolutionary change that's happened in the industry's history of computing. So that's a big claim to say, and I believe him. I mean, a lot of people who are coming out and using and developing VR, it's a ridiculous amount, to the point where it's like there's something about this, if people are saying this much about it. But yeah, Paragon, look out for it 2016. Apparently there's going to be a beta for the title that they're going to announce later on. Though they're not saying what it is, prepare for it to be an arena shooter. In a move that's not necessarily shocking anyone, Konami is confirming that they're shutting down Kojima Productions in Los Angeles. I mean, that's not really that shocking. I think everybody's kind of already figured that this is going on. I don't know how many times we could beat up to death with Konami doing this and Konami doing that. It's like, now it's not even really speculation. It's them actually doing it and saying that we're going to close it down. But I'm sure people still kind of make up stories and be like, maybe they're still doing shit. Look at them still existing somehow. This is enough to make me convinced that Konami is no longer doing the things that they want to do if they're no longer keeping the staff here anywhere. It stated that it was about 35 jobs before Christmas, and I guess there's more that's going to go afterwards. They're probably going to continue to dismantle that studio deep into the next year. I'm sure many of them are actually still working on Metal Gear Solid Online, possibly even post-launch content. We don't really know what else they could be working on. Clearly something of significance, the fact that they're still even working at all. So that sucks, but I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to find more jobs with Kojima. A lot of these guys may continue to work with Kojima. A lot of them may go elsewhere. I mean, in LA, they have a very healthy community of game developers. I'm sure all 35 of those people will find work somewhere. After an amazing, ridiculous, off-the-charts beta, EA has already announced that the beta has hit 9 million. I'm 100% sure I already covered this. Beta hit 9 million users. EA has now projected that they believe that this game could do 13 million sales in terms of Star Wars Battlefront. I'm not too shocked by this. I kind of theorized that this game potentially could sell more than Battlefield. In one of my newscasts, I recall bringing up the possibility of it selling more than Battlefield, due to its open nature, due to that it's not as really complex as Battlefield or other shooters, to be honest. Because it's not as complex as other shooters, it's not as huge as, or it's not as strategic as these other titles. It wouldn't really shock me if it did end up doing, those numbers. That doesn't really sound like it would shock me, because at this point in time, I always assume that more people will buy the game than will play the betas. I mean, we're not like everybody else. We're, and I say we're, the hardcore who view gaming news, who talk about gaming, who listen to game. I think about games, I talk about games, I read about games, I play games. So not everyone is going to be that vested into the entire culture of gaming. Everybody's not going to be that way. That's just the way it is. My whole family games. So everybody's not going to be that way, and I 100% get that. So everyone's not going to be in the know about the betas. Everybody's not going to be essentially all going out there 100% full force playing the betas. And I know this. I know that 100% that's not going to be the case. So the beta hit 9 million. So you have to factor that if the beta hit 9 million, more people will probably end up buying this game than ever played the beta. Beta is on this specific date, from here to here. You could play, the game for whatever, between those dates. Like, I was in the beta, as you guys see the footage up on our site, or up on our channel. So yeah, I was in it, so were lots of other people. But if you were in it, you are those gamers that listen to this, who read these things on the news, who are up to date with it, and know that this is where you're going to be when this beta comes out. Most are not going to be this way. So I consider that the beta is not everyone. Beta is not a demo. It's not everyone. It's only a small fraction. So that small fraction didn't just download it to play it another time. They got it to play it at that moment in time when it was out to release. Most games do not do this. Just to give you an understanding of why EA has probably likely predicted this, and why I'm probably, going out on a limb and also predicting it would do better than Battlefield, is due to, even though Battlefield 3 and the Battlefield series technically have went well over any of the Battlefront games in terms of sales, Battlefield 3 went on to do like 16 or 17 million units. The reason why I'm saying that this game could sell better than Battlefield 3, even though it only had 9 million people who played the beta, it was because only 8 million people played Battlefield 3's beta. That game went on to do 17 million units. So if you think about that, and you think about those numbers, and you think about what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to say that it is realistic that this game could do 13 million. I think it's likely, because not everyone is going to play the beta. Most people who play the beta are the most hardcore. They are that huge chunk that will be there day and day, no matter what. They're getting it. Destiny, good example. 4 million people were in that game's beta. Of the 4 million people that were in that beta, Destiny, within the month of its release, sold 6 million units within the month of its release. And I think it has a user base, something crazy like 25 million or 20 million, something really nuts. But what you gotta understand is that the people who played the beta pale into comparison of the number of people who actually bought the game. So they're 13 million realistic. I believe that it was probably going to sell more, and if they're going to ask for that number, I see more evidence that suggests it's probably going to hit that number than not, simply because just based on that, I don't really know how many aren't going to buy it because of it. I've heard most good things regarding the beta in terms of people who liked it. It's not that strategic. It has the appeal. It has the film that's coming out. It has everything going for it to hit those numbers by, they stated, March 2016. It has everything to hit those numbers, and I believe it's likely it's going to meet them. Now, this piece of news might have flown under the radar to many. Announced actually a couple days ago and kind of found by a couple people. Sony announces a esports platform for PlayStation Plus. It's pretty much called PlayStation Plus League. So PlayStation Plus League is essentially a esports competition that involves several games. It's going to be FIFA 16 or presumably any FIFA that releases from day forward, but FIFA 2016, Ultra Street Fighter 4, Battlefield Hardline, Namco Bandai's Project Cars. Let me see here. Trials, Mortal Kombat X, Rocket League, and it even states Drive Club for Europe. So essentially the finals for this are going to basically be at the next Paris Games Week, October 28th to the 1st, which is interesting because it's like that means that this is technically going to be going on or starting tomorrow, 28th through November 1st, and they're saying £20 could be won. Registration is free. Anybody could, access it and go on there and help themselves to essentially join this to, help themselves get some prize money. And I'm wondering if this is going to be a yearly thing, because doesn't really sound like that's the case. It's actually more so sounding like this is might be an annual, yearly thing that they do. Because I'm not necessarily seeing anything that's indicating that this is, like something temporary, because on the actual official site it's saying throughout the year champions in the key PlayStation games or key games for PlayStation 4, there's going to be a season to get a new title, because apparently it's saying like every year somebody's going to get a new title, and whoever's going to get the title will several games every year. That's just going to change. Divisions define opponents to its height, so you'll be able to pretty much get the maximum competition. So this is actually kind of interesting, because this is going to very much get out some of the best people to kind of go and join in on something like this. If you're the top player really in any one of these games, you're going to come out to support something like this. This is probably one of the more interesting things that have kind of been floating around, that have been flying under the radar, that could change a lot of things in esports, only because the major three platforms, companies in terms of Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, have never really done anything like this in terms of recognizing esports. So for a major one of the three to have anything that is any dedicated championship to say, have a yearly thing in which there's $20,000, dollars or £20,000 it says, but that's still a lot of money. That's kind of interesting for some of these titles that anybody could, go and practice and play and then get every year for whenever the new titles are released. Now, some small news, but still relevant to readers nonetheless. Interesting survey coming out from NeoGAF, or some NeoGAF spotted a survey for basically Sony's been sending out for a little PlayStation survey about features that they think should be added on PlayStation 4. Now, I remember covering this as a rumor in terms of them adding PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 games, which I don't even really see as a rumor anymore. That shit's all but confirmed that they're adding something regarding them, if you consider that the Star Wars Battlefront bundles is clearly giving you PlayStation 2 titles. And the ESRB has already cleared them, so that's not even like rumor stuff to me. That is just waiting to be confirmed crap. So they have this little survey, and I'm just going to read off some of the interesting things that they state. Now, one of them is notifications when friends come online. PlayStation 2 Classics is listed. Folders is one of them. PlayStation 1 Classics appear in pure offline mode. Hide, completely remove items from your library in terms of demos, in terms of just having them not show up. Delete items from your library. Filtering options in game in terms of library, installed only items, genre, etc. So just to have more of a diverse selection for filtering. I noticed that they have the A to Z and when you installed it, but it doesn't go to download only, it doesn't go into genre, it doesn't go specifically. It says download avatars in PlayStation 4, custom backgrounds, store wish list, increase the maximum number of people in your party, change PlayStation ID, or the bottom, which is none of these. So apparently what's interesting about this is it sounds to me like they're interested in adding most, if not all of these features, and it sounds like they're probably just trying to get a rough estimate of just how many people really care about some of these features. One thing I've noticed is PlayStation 3 is not listed as one of the classics. So PlayStation 3 is not listed, so they're not even putting that on the table in terms of bringing anything back like that in terms of confirmation. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. If anybody's holding out for features that are going to be coming out soon, I think they're probably just trying to see how many want them and just check off the list in terms of the highest most wanted to the very least most wanted, which wouldn't surprise me that they would do that. But lots of people have always questioned why none of these features that came last generation on PlayStation 3 were not day one features on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One for that matter. And I think a lot of it has to do with most people who are in gaming who do play consoles for some strange reason. I don't think equate this to the same thing as upgrading an OS. That's how I actually see it. As a person who's been gaming on PC for over 20 years now, I would say that people who are in the PC community are more familiar with something like this than I believe people in the console community that don't averagely always update an OS. Now, I recently updated to Windows 10, and I still have a hard drive on my PC for Windows 7 with all my games, and even Windows XP with some games too. So because I have lots of older titles like Diablo 2, Diablo 1, Warcraft 2, and a bunch of older titles, or Fallout 3 is actually a good example, older titles that do not work on other OSs or don't work correctly. So on Windows 7 I have issues running StarCraft 1 and Diablo and other titles. I actually run them on XP. I can't even run Fallout 3 on Windows 7. I actually have to run it in XP. The same is with Windows 10. So I understand this because it's not my first rodeo in terms of upgrading an OS. This is not my first time around the block in terms of upgrading an OS. I 100% understand the second I upload that OS, I'm having an out. I'm having an option, and it's not just, here's an OS, all right, let me just put all my games on. No, it doesn't work that way, all right? No, so I never do that, ever, not once. This doesn't change shit. I will still have my other hard drives with my other OSs, and when that compatibility comes and stability comes and those features that I know of return, then I'll go back to it. That's just the way it's sort of always been on PC gaming, but that doesn't necessarily change with console gaming. Consoles are still essentially form factor PCs. They still have OSs. They still follow those same technical rules. If you purchase an iPhone, I'm sure you know that everything you could do on that iPhone you probably can't do. So everything you can do on that phone, that it's likely your other phone could probably do some of those things better, or could do things the newer phone cannot do. So we already know of this. This is not a shock to anyone. It's just the way compatibility goes. It's just the way features go. Whenever you get new hardware, they have to talk with other pieces of hardware. They have to make sure that all the new things we're adding in are not messing up the other existing things that we want to add in. Nothing in Windows 7 will work 100% in Windows 10, and it's just the way it is. Windows 10 over time will get those features. Over time will be, much more compatible, much more friendly, and have those features return. But no Windows OS, and you could mark my word on this, not a single Windows OS, or any OS to my understanding, has ever released where 100% features of the previous OS by day one were working on the newer OS. That doesn't happen ever. So even with me, I have several programs that do not work on Windows 10. I have games that do not work on Windows 10. I have games that crash on Windows 10. It's not saying that the Windows must be a step back and they can't do it and they don't know what they're doing. No, it's just merely saying the way it works with hardware iterations in terms of big software changes like that in terms of OSs is much more the complex than I think people really give them credit for. And I don't think people understand the complexities that goes to adding those features. It's not merely just saying how come they can't add folders and custom backgrounds and all this other stuff. They could do that on the Cell, and even on Cell it still took them clearly a long number of years to one by one add all those features. None of those features came day one. It came over years and years and years and years and years and years and years. There's a reason why not a single one of these companies has ever just released a system that 100% did every single last thing the other system did in terms of software features. Nothing releases that way. I can't even begin to think of anything in any type of form that does something that way, as complex as consoles are becoming and as they are now. So these features, don't expect them day one. Don't expect them on PlayStation 5 day one. That's silly, to say the least. I know some people think that's crazy, but coming from a PC side of things and console, I own both. So coming from the PC side of things, I'm understood that my stuff is not always going to work in the newest, latest, and greatest. So that's just the way it is in terms of the market. So these features, I'll expect them to trickle out over the next couple of years, if not the next year or so, if not even longer. We could probably get some of these things near the tail ending of this generation. But I don't think this hurts anyone, really. None of the systems are coming day one with all the features they had in the previous ones, but as long as they play games, that's all that really matters to most gamers. So not to say that I'm keeping some sort of tally on being right on any of my predictions or anything, but another one of my predictions, it's coming to fruition. Now, we called this based on little rumor, little tidbit that we found from NeoGaf, and a couple buddies of mine were able to give us the heads up on, what was going on in terms of Overwatch being, stated that it was going to come to consoles. Now, there was some stuff that we found on the PC version where it stated that it was going to be coming to console. There was some stuff found on their website that they didn't want us to know about that apparently revealed it was also coming to console. So GameStop comes out and it spoils some of their funds. This comes courtesy of Kotaku. So it reveals that GameStop is taking pre-orders for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC of Overwatch. But it's like, too late. I mean, you gotta understand that. You have to understand that they're taking pre-orders for this game, which is confirming that the game is of a price, even though the game is apparently supposed to be free to play on PC, to my understanding. It's weird. So it's like it is free to play on PC, but it's coming at full price for everybody else. So I don't really know how they could take pre-orders for it, but it's also coming as free to play, unless maybe you purchase some bundle edition, or the thing you're purchasing is something else. But the stuff that I'm seeing is of box art stuff. It's of a physical thing. So I couldn't understand what pre-order thing you could be getting unless the game is not going to be free to play elsewhere. I mean, I don't understand how they could launch it disc-based, retail-wise, but also have free to play. So I don't know if they're saying that it's not really free to play, or if they're just saying that sort of is free to play if you purchase it. If you get it on PC, you don't need to buy it. But if you get it on console, you sort of need to buy it. I don't know what's going on with this, because apparently GameStop is the one that's confirming this. So they're confirming this, but it was updated earlier that even now the team is confirming it, that this is true. Blizzard's confirming it, and they got this little page over here you can see in the corner of the screen over here showing that this is what their promotional thing looks like. Okay, it says Overwatch Spring 2016, pre-purchase now, shows, all the box art for all three versions, and it says, pre-purchase now to get, newer Widowmaker skin at launch. So it's not sounding like it is a free-to-play game. Something's changed. So I don't get what's going on for it. GameStop taking pre-orders for, that doesn't mean it's not being free-to-play. I mean, it could, but it's starting to sound that way. So I don't really know how this is going to go in terms of pricing. Maybe you are buying it disc-based, but you're technically buying a set of skins. Maybe you're buying certain stuff and that's what is really being purchased here. Maybe that's it, because I believe that even though they're saying pre-purchase to get the skin, I would assume that the entire thing would tell you, pre-purchase it to get this, da-da-da-da, and this is how our model's going to go. The fact that they're telling you get a skin is starting to make it sound like it's the pre-order just the skin, because if the game is free to play, what's this for? Maybe it's a novelty. I'm not sure. So we don't really know what's going on with it or why they're choosing that route. They would have to read more of what Blizzard says. Now, I'm somewhat looking forward to this game as a big fan of Team Fortress. I'm somewhat looking forward to this game. I know I've always stated how similar this game is to Team Fortress. good buddy of the FOXHOLE feed, the other member here, Craig. Craig is looking forward to it. Craig will not stop talking about this game. Craig plays Hearthstone, he plays StarCraft, he plays Diablo. He played Diablo, but he plays a lot of titles by Blizzard, so he cannot wait for this game to come out. So if this game does get covered by us, it's likely going to actually be covered by Craig. He's more than likely going to cover this game. Who knows? Yeah, I'm gonna say it's likely. He's gonna be the one doing it. Now, during the week, Sony had a little Korean day. So during the week, Sony Korea had their press event, basically showing, titles, the latest and greatest by Korea. Korea is up and coming, I have to tell you. So Korea has over 25 titles by, different developers that they're showing off that are going to be coming to the PlayStation 4 in Korea. And there was just every single genre you possibly could think of was being covered by them. Like literally every single genre you could think of was being covered by them. They essentially did a really, really, really good showing like hack and slash games and showing like puzzle games and RPGs and shooters. So they showed like anything and everything, and horror titles, which I'd like to actually talk about right now. So the title that you guys see in the corner of the screen over here is called WhiteDay. So WhiteDay is actually, from me actually reading up, I found out that WhiteDay is actually a PC game that was made, that was put into translation, released in English in like 2004. It came out 2001. It was done and translated in English and released to the West on PC in 2004. And now it's coming again to Korea, as this is the remake of the actual title coming to PlayStation 4 in virtual reality. Whew, was a mouthful. So, that's cool. It's coming to VR. It's announced at Sony's event, coming to PlayStation 4. I think that's really, really, really awesome. Now the thing that's crazy about this is it was translated over to the West, so we could see this as the original title was technically transferred. You guys could look it up right now to actually see the original title. The only thing that kind of makes this even more crazy is, it may not come here because of the fashion in which it might release here. Now, when they had it translated into English and had it put into the West, I think fans actually likely put that in there. I don't think that was an official thing. I don't know, because of that, I don't actually know if that's going to be the case with this title. Now, because of it's a horror game, I want to believe that it strikes a chord with the West where it's a universal understanding, and I don't think that much dialogue, I guess, would be spoken that they shouldn't do it. But I really want the title to make it over here, because it looks like an awesome virtual reality title in terms of horror. They're giving you like decisions to hide, and you're running with this girl, and you have to do a quick smart decision, open door. It looks awesome. I like what I see on the corner of the screen there. I watched it a couple times and it looks really cool. If it makes it to the West, awesome. If it doesn't make it to the West, put it this way, we could always import it and view it anyway. So even if it doesn't come here, that's completely fine. We'll probably still be able to somewhat play it. I don't know how much of it we'll understand, but horror is a universal language. And that is it for today. First of all, thanks for all the support. If you liked, if you commented, if you subscribed, if you viewed, thank you for your support. Didn't say it before, so I don't even know why, but we just recently hit 3,000 views. Very happy that we're able to hit this great milestone. My buddy Craig and I have worked really, really hard to deliver the content that we've been delivering on this channel. And we're going to continue to work hard on doing that. Regardless, we're going to continue to work hard on doing that. We have a podcast coming up later today. You guys are going to really like me and Craig chatting it up. Haven't thought about what it's going to be about, but we're going to be chatting. We're going to be talking about games that are similar to Until Dawn, games that are about making choices and decisions. We're going to be talking about conceptually how does that work with games. So you guys stay tuned for that later today, probably around like 7-8 o'clock. We'll have that uploaded of us discussing that. Later for the channel, we're going to have lots of titles that are coming up in the next several months we're going to be supporting, just so you guys know. I'm going to be running Fallout 4, which is going to be coming out on the 10th. So I'm going to be running all that entire game's main game in terms of the main quest. I'm also going to be running a large majority of the side quest. I might do the entire side quest and post it up on the channel. Craig's going to be a buddy of mine, Craig. He's also going to be running Star Wars when it comes out. He's going to be running its single player. We're both going to be running its multiplayer. And later next year, he's going to be running Street Fighter 5, which we're going to have content streaming on that in terms of us versing. So yeah, we got lots of content that's coming up like later throughout the year. We have some old titles, which I'm just going to leave to myself. That's going to be re-released like later couple days, I would say. We're going to be releasing some older games that we were playing last couple weeks or so. But yeah, so we got some content that's going to be coming up in terms of our no commentary stuff, and we have content that'll be coming up in terms of our multiplayer stuff that will be commentary type banter that we're going to be doing back and forths on. So stay tuned for episode 26, which should be coming next Friday with the new format, filled with all the news that's going to be happening throughout this weekend and all of next week. And yeah, that's game.